Good Tuesday morning. Here we are. Ask the Gap Chef. Monica Corrado here. I'm a certified GAPS practitioner, a teaching chef, and the Gap Chef. So welcome. It's Tuesday morning here in Colorado, 11:30 a.m. Mountain Time. We've got some beautiful weather. It's going to be in the 60s today. Last week it was -9, so kind of wacky. Again, I am not a medical doctor, so if you have medical questions, please be sure to ask your licensed medical professional. Okay? All right, so here we are. Hello, Mara. Welcome. Mwah. Give my best to Silver Spring, Maryland, and to all of your loved ones. Hello, Carol. Good to have you. Hello, Britt. Good to have you. Hello. How do I say that? Ajimoke? I don't know, but I hope I didn't butcher your name. Welcome. Welcome, Ewelina. Also, welcome everyone. Good to have everyone. Okay, so I was hoping that a specific, hello, Lena. How's everyone doing? I was hoping that I would have one specific individual here. She's not here right now, but she will watch this. I've been asked a lot of questions about culturing dairy lately, and so I'd like to answer any of your dairy questions. Hello, Alejandra. Good to see you. All right. Hello, Dana. Good to see you too. Everyone's here. Hooray. Okay. So quick. Great to have you with me for sure. So just a quick couple of things, folks. This particular book, as you know, has an entire section on culturing dairy. This was published as a single book that you can still get if you get on my website, simplybeingwell.com, or if you get on my publisher's website, Selene River Press, SELENE riverpress.com. You can find the individual books. Sometimes people like them better. There is a culturing dairy book. It's called Cooking Techniques for the Gut and Psychology Syndrome Diet. I think it's called book part 2. In any case, so please do take a look there. There's a lot of really good information. I know I keep pushing my book, folks, but really there's so much information. I wrote it so that everything that Dr. Natasha is talking about in this book, right, all the cooking techniques and the vast majority of the cooking techniques in her new book, the Blue Book, with the exceptions of the new things like fermenting meat and double fermented beans. I mean, those are new to all of us. So those are not in my book, but everything else I think is in there that you need. The difference between A1 and A2 milk, the difference between raw and pasteurized milk, the difference between how you work with raw and pasteurized dairy, how to culture cream, 4 different ways, how to make kefir, 4 different ways, how to make yogurt, 4 different ways, so really there's a lot of information in there. Really, I wrote it so that it would be so easy for all of you to start implementing this. Can be complicated and confusing diet. See all those? Look at all this. I've read it so much that it's falling apart. Yes, it's true. I suggest that you all do the same. Okay, so just going to look and see. Hello, Niska. Good to have you. Hello, Barbara. Good to have you. Hello, Vicky. Happy to have you. All righty. Jane is here. Hello, Jane. Julia, Charisse, Angela. Love it. Okay, so let me go back and see dairy questions. First dairy question comes from Mara, I think. Okie dokie. Yep, Mara's got it. Confused as to when to seal tightly or not when clabbering milk or making creme fraiche. Perfect. Great question to start with. The only time we do not seal tightly is when we're working with kefir. Kefir, okay? Kefir or kefir or kefir or however you want to say it, Kefir, is a cultured milk or cream product or even half and half product. And it has a SCOBY. You use grains, which are a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast. And yeast need oxygen. So, hold on one second. Coming back. Here I am. So, yeast need oxygen. And so that's the only time that we leave things open, if you will, or leave a little bit of air for them. So when I make kefir, I always use actually cheesecloth. I use cheesecloth and I put either a rubber band around it on the jar, or I use one of the rings around it on the jar. And so when you're clabbering milk just means we're letting milk raw only, folks. Do not try this with pasteurized milk, please. We're using raw milk and we allow it to sit on the counter for a day or two. Not long enough that it starts separating into curds and whey, but it will clabber. And clabbering just means that you are inviting, you are allowing those beautiful, life-giving, healing, healthy, wonderful microbes called lactobacilli, the lactic acid bacteria in the milk, in the raw milk, to start pre-digesting the lactose for you. So you're allowing them to grow because they're eating the sugar in the milk, and that's what we call clabbered milk. Usually clabber is not, what can I say? Usually we don't, no. Clabbering only takes a day or two out on the counter, and that's usually not enough time to allow the microbes to eat all the lactose, because we remember that GAPS is lactose free, right? We don't want any lactose. And so you really want to just make sure. So clabbered milk will probably not be lactose free for all you GAPsters out there. Right? We need a certain amount of time and a certain amount of microbes to allow all the lactose to be pre-eaten for you, right? The sugar in the milk, all the microbes eat all the sugar, and then you don't. So that's clabbering milk. In terms of making crème fraîche, also known as AKA cultured cream, crème fraîche, cultured cream. Dr. Natasha calls that GAPS sour cream. She calls it sour cream. It's actually not sour cream. It's just cultured cream. When you make cultured cream and you are using kefir, so you're using either milk kefir, or you're using milk kefir whey, or you're using a starter of kefir, like a packet that you purchase, all of those things will give you kefir cream. It's cultured cream, but it's cultured with kefir starter, if you will, or the kefir cultures, the microbes. And so that too would need to be left with some air so that the yeast in the kefir can grow. Alrighty, so if you're culturing cream and you're making crème fraîche, typically crème fraîche is made with lactobacilli, which means tight. Clabbering milk means tight. Okay, making yogurt means tight. So the real differentiating factor here, the thing that says tight or not tight, tight or loose, tight or open, is lactobacilli, right? Tight. Yeast from kefir, open. Open or loose. I hope that was clear. Just one more time with feeling, folks. Whenever you're using kefir grains, kefir starter, milk kefir to culture something, kefir whey. You need to allow air because yeast like oxygen. Lactobacilli are anaerobic and they do not like oxygen. It's the same reason why when we make kombucha, which is not dairy, obviously, that's a symbiotic colony of bacteria and yeast, yeah? And we do it with a cloth over the top. Why? So that the beautiful yeast can grow. They have air. Okay, hope that wasn't confusing. Okie dokie, Smokies, let's keep going. Okay, Mara asks, okay to add some raw kefir to clabbering raw milk? Yes, but now you're making kefir. Just so we're clear. If you add kefir, you're making kefir. That's the way it works. So, yes, you are absolutely welcome to do that. Okay. Let's see, where is Angela is next. Hello, Angela. I did reply to your email, Angela, today, just so you know. Okay. Thank you. I hope you're well also. I am well. I'm happy to see sunshine here in Colorado. Sunshine and blue skies. Okay. We make kefir and go slowly with it. We don't make yogurt, just lack of time. But are there different cultures that we need in the yogurt that are not in the kefir? Many thanks. So one more time with feeling. This is my Monica Corrado's opinion. This may not be what Dr. Natasha tells you, but in my opinion, if all you ever drink that's cultured dairy is kefir, you're doing what you need to do. Okay? Why? Because in my colleague Becky Plotner's book, fabulous book, I think it's called, it's about commercial probiotics versus cultured foods or probiotic foods. I think that's right. Commercial probiotics versus probiotic foods. Lots of studies about the fact that kefir has a ton. I know that's so scientific. Many, hundreds. I know that's true. Of strains of beneficial yeast and a lot of yogurt cultures too. So it has bacteria and yeast. Yeah? So, you don't ever have to make yogurt. Yogurt is just bacteria lactobacilli, which is great and wonderful and healing and good. But if all you're making is kefir, you're good to go, in my book. In my opinion, in my Monica Corrado, right, a holistic nutritionist opinion, certified GAPS practitioner opinion, and GAPS chef opinion. Yeah, and what we've seen in many of our clients is that kefir is the bomb. If you can just do kefir, and you literally can get up to, slowly, folks, slowly. You know I'm always about slowly, yeah? Listen to your body, slow and steady, slow and steady. If you can get up to a quart of kefir a day as an adult, 4 cups, so many of your illnesses, your symptoms will resolve. It's going to take a while to get there. It could take you a year to get there. It could take you 8 months, 6 months to get there. No problem. Slow. Slow and steady. Carol wants to know, best way to use raw milk that is 2 weeks old. Can you still culture? Of course. Good question. Kefir is the bomb. Yes. Write it somewhere. Quote me. Kefir is the bomb. Okay. I'd call it the bomb daddy, but let's call it the bomb mommy, shall we? Since we're all moms. Not everybody's a mom on this call, but anyway. All right. Carol says, what is the best way to use raw milk that is 2 weeks old? Okay, folks. So one more time with feeling. Get this piece. Okay. Ready? Take a deep breath. Ready? Okay. I got to laugh. Ready? Raw milk and raw cream just gets better with age. So do not be afraid of using 2-week-old raw milk to culture. You could do several things, Carol. One thing, excellent, Angela, happy. Okay, one thing you could do is just take it out of the refrigerator, 2 weeks old, stick it on the counter, keep the cap tight, and let it separate into curds and whey. Perfect. That's easy peasy. Or you could certainly use it for raw. You could use it for yogurt. You could use it for kefir, whatever you like, no problem. Do not be afraid of 2-week-old milk. The only thing that's going to have happened over the course of time is that in the refrigerator, which is where I'm assuming you've kept it, slowly, because it's cold, the lactobacilli will have been eating the sugar, the lactose. No problem. We love that. So you can go ahead and use it anytime that you like. Good, good, good. All right. Angela says, thanks. You have saved me a huge job in the kitchen. You're welcome. Happy to hear that. I love saving time in the kitchen myself. Alejandra says, I started at half a teaspoon a day. Now I'm at 2 tablespoons a day. Let's all give her some thumbs up and claps. Good job, Alejandra. Big difference with kefir cream. Yes. Let's talk about kefir cream again for just a moment, everyone. Okay, so I'm out there on Facebook once in a while. People are tagging me. I love that. Thank you for bringing my attention to the different things. I'm happy to contribute as I can. So kefir cream is just raw cream or pasteurized cream that we have added kefir to. So some people are using kefir grains to make their kefir cream. Dr. Natasha does not recommend that. You can just go ahead and read it. She does not recommend using grains in cream. Why? Because they won't be as strong. They can't get through the fat. They'll get coated with the cream and they won't be able to multiply. So if you really want to make a good, strong, or just, usual strength of kefir cream, you want to either take raw cream, and add raw milk kefir to it as a starter. Or get a packet of kefir, starter packet that you can get online. Cultures for Health is great. I'm sure there are other places, but that's the only one I know of. And you can add starter packet to the raw cream. Okay? That's why we do not, Dr. Natasha herself and I do not recommend that you use grains in cream to make kefir cream. They'll get smothered. They won't be able to multiply. So you can let everybody know, do it differently out there. You may have people say, I've always been doing it this way, which is fine, but their grains will really get coated with the fat from the cream and they won't be able to multiply. So maybe they're rinsing them off. You could do that, I suppose. That would be all right. Okay, so let me look. We're getting back to these fabulous questions. All right, Vicky. When under eyes are very dark, besides liver, what do you recommend? So Vicky and everyone else, when you have dark circles, now I have some, but this is called a tired circle because I didn't sleep well last night. But when you have dark circles under your eyes, that is the sign of toxicity. So when we are toxic, and sadly we see these a lot with the children, it really takes my breath away to see these little children, age 3 months, 6 months, 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10, whatever. They're black. They have these black circles under their eyes, right? Black eyes. So toxins, they are toxic. What do I recommend? I recommend everything in the detoxification protocol that Dr. Natasha goes very clearly into in both books, a lot in the blue book. So you've got 5 different detox baths you can do. You've got beet kvass you can do, lots of beets. Don't eat too many beets at once because they're very high sugar and they can provoke a very strong detox reaction. But beets in juice, fermented beets, beets on your salad, beet greens juiced. Yeah. This is stuff we're going to cover in 2 classes in my Love Your Liver class. How to detox, right? Just letting people know. All right. So I would really, Vicky, just go for detoxification. Coffee, regular enemas, basic enemas, coffee enemas, you know, we need to get the detox pathways open for this particular person. So yes, eat liver, but support the detoxification throughout the body. That's my suggestion. Hi, Dana. Okay. Dana has a dairy-related question. My little girl has been off dairy. In our CGP Facebook group, no one is discussing. Okay, hold on one second. All right, I will get back to that. La, la, la. We're going back. You're welcome. Perfect, Vicki. I'm glad. All right. We're trying to get way back up here to... Okay, Dana. Sorry. Hi, Dana. Okay, I have a dairy-related question. My little girl has been off dairy for 2 years now, and I worry about intake of calcium. Good idea. I mean, I'm sorry. You don't want to worry about anything, but yeah, children need calcium, and raw dairy, cultured raw dairy, is the best, #1 place to get it. Okay, I'm trying to reintroduce it, but I realize this will take a very long time. In the meantime, should I give her a calcium supplement? And if so, which one should I give her? She is 8. Okay, so Dana, so it may not take a very long time. I don't know. Does she have anaphylaxis? Is she anaphylactically, allergic to dairy? Give me some more information in the bottom. Should you give her a calcium supplement? And if so, which one? So again, this is going to be the word according to Monica. I am a standard process practitioner. Standard process supplements are the best whole food supplements in the world, in my in my estimation. Many GAPS practitioners will not use them because they say they're too full of, there are fillers in there or whatever, ingredients that are not quote unquote GAPS compliant. I personally feel that the benefit is way far outweighs the difficulty, if you will. And so Standard Process makes Calci Food wafers, which is raw veal bone, which means that the calcium is very easily absorbed and available. And also they make calcium lactate. In any case, I could tell you more about that if you send me an email. Okay. She's not anaphylactic, but she does flare and itch pretty badly. Okay, so just a quickie. This is great. I mean, I'm sorry she flares and itches, but folks, flaring and itching. So what can we do to control this? What can we do? Wrong word. Manage. What can we do to manage this for your sweet daughter, right? That's right. Slow and steady. So I would suggest as a practitioner that you work with the fat side of the dairy protocol first. If she, obviously ghee, butter, cultured cream. Not cultured cream made with kefir, cultured cream made with lactobacilli, with yogurt or yogurt starter. And just start with a very little bit. Remember that flaring and itching are histamine responses. Histamine is a normal response of the body saying, hey, we're not ready yet. No problem. Do not be afraid of histamine, folks. A lot of people are afraid of histamine and they just are really stalling where they don't need to stall. So again, as a mom, just try to manage where she's at. Dr. Natasha will say often push through. A couple of days of discomfort is worth it to get to the other side, but you have to make that decision. Maybe a couple of days of discomfort is not okay, and that's perfect too, right? So what can you do to manage this response? Slow and steady. Start with, a drop. Do that for a week. Go to 2 drops. Do that for a week. Right, folks? I mean, do not be afraid to back it up. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay? So that's the first thing. The next thing is, while this is happening, lots of meat stock. Heal and seal. Histamine is also one of the things that tells us what the state of the gut is. Is her gut healing, or is she reacting to everything? So lots of meat stock, lots of healthy fats, animal fats, yeah. And then manage the amount that you're giving her very slowly. This is not a race. This is about healing. And I have to say, it's really worth it. Going slowly really, really is worth it. So in terms of itching, her skin itching, I would up the cod liver oil. I would be looking at lots of beautiful baths and try different ones, folks, because each one of the baths, baking soda bath, Epsom salt bath, apple cider vinegar bath, sea salt bath, seaweed bath, they're all very different, and they all have a different effect on the skin. Find which one soothes her, right? She may do really well on baking soda baths and not on apple cider vinegar baths or Epsom salt baths. They're all different, and it's a really great idea for you to work with your children, everyone, and yourselves to see which one of those baths feels better to me. Just an idea. So don't worry, Dana. Slow and steady. You're doing fine. One little step at a time. All will be well. Okay. Okay, Lena says, hello, Lena. Tried making sour cream, so we're going to say Gap sour cream the other day. Left it on the counter for 48 hours and it still didn't turn to sour cream, so I put it in the fridge. Okay, maybe you were just making raw sour cream. Lena, let me know, is it raw cream? So one more time with feeling. There's raw cream that we just set on the counter, lid tight, room temperature for a couple of days. Leave it for 2 days. Leave it for 3 days. Putting it in the fridge is fine. It will sour because those beautiful microbes that are inherent to the cream that just live there will eat the sugar, and then they will turn it sour for you. And then there's Gap sour cream. These are my little quotes, not my bunny ears. Those are my little quotes. Gap sour cream is actually cream that we culture. We add a culture to. So don't worry, Lena. It will turn sour over time. Sometimes it takes more than 24, 48, 72 hours. No problema. It'll happen. You'll be fine. Okay, raw A2 cream. Perfect. Yep. The other thing you could do, Lena, if you wanted to, is take it back out of the fridge, add a tablespoon or two of yogurt to it, stir it around, put the lid back on, leave it out on the counter for another day or two, and you will get a good cultured cream out of that. That's totally good to do. No problem. Hi, Joanna. Hello, Abba. Hello, Ellen. Okay. Hello, Annika is here too. Charisse came in. Hooray. Who else have we got that came in since I haven't seen you? Hello, Anne. Hello, Maria. Hello, Crystal. Woohoo. Hello, Sylvia. Hooray. Who else have we got? Okay. I'm going to go fast. And not fast, but let me go fast up there to find the questions. Okay, let's see. All right. Alejandra says, traveling question. I will be going on a road trip. What to bring, my grains or kefir milk? I'll be out for about 12 days. I don't know. Bring both. I mean, if you bring your kefir milk and you drink it along the way, then you can, depends. If you, let's see, folks, how can I answer this in an easy way? So you need to keep your grains in a milk hotel. I've talked about that on our group before. That's just a jar of milk, about a cup of milk, sealed up while they're just hanging out, waiting to multiply again. If you can keep that in a cooler, great. If not, just bring a quart or two of milk kefir. You'll be fine. Just drink it along the way. Either way, you'll be good. All right. So Charisse says, all right, I want my eyesight to improve. My eyesight has gotten worse every year until I started the GAPS diet. So what do you think you need to do? cod liver oil. Cod liver oil, everyone. You want your eyes to improve? Cod liver oil and liver. Cod liver oil and liver. Cod liver oil and liver. Both. Yes, cod liver oil and liver. So the liver and the eyes are connected, not as organs, but as energies. So I would be working your liver to get your eyesight to improve. And I would also be eating things that will allow your eyesight to improve. So what are they? Anything with vitamin A in it, not beta carotene, carrots, but organ meats, liver, cod, liver oil. And I would also be making fish stock with fish heads in it and drink that. Why? Because, don't get grossed out here, folks, the eyeballs will dissolve into the stock and you will drink the stock and your eyes will get so much better. Okay, that's what I've got. Alrighty then, Britt says, what if I put a few tablespoons of kefir in my cream, then leave the lid on loose for 1 to 2 days, shaking twice a day? It turns out perfect, but what happens to the yeast since it's covered? Just loose is fine. You're fine. You're doing great. Just leave it a little air. No problema. Looking good, Brett. That's a good thing to do. Okay. Carol says, okay, did that? Okay. Kefir is the bomb. That is true. All right. Let's see. What do we got? Crystal says, is pasteurized grass-fed milk okay for kefir and cultured cream? Yes, it is fine. If all you can get where you are is pasteurized milk from grass-fed cows, that's all you can do. However, if you're going to make cultured cream out of it, again, you're going to, if it's not homogenized, you'll skim off the cream, and then to make cultured cream, with yogurt culture, you will bring it up to 180. That means heat it to 180 degrees Fahrenheit, cool it down to 110 degrees Fahrenheit, and then culture it. Okay? If you're going to make kefir, milk kefir from pasteurized milk, I know there's a lot of people out there saying just put the kefir grains in there, but I got to tell you, it's really a good idea to bring that milk up to 180 and down to 110 if you can, because we have to remember that when they pasteurize anything, they sterilize it. They could just call it sterilized milk. That means that it's dead enzymatically and they've killed all the good bacteria that could save you from pathogens. Interesting, isn't it? We're going to make this healthier by pasteurizing. Nope, sure doesn't. Unless, of course, it's from those blessed cows and feedlots, and then they damn well, pardon me, darn well better pasteurize that milk, or you're all going to get very, very sick. So when you use pasteurized milk, folks, bring it up to 180 F, bring it down to 110 F, and then culture. Why do we do that? Pardon me. Why do we do that? We do that because once milk has been pasteurized, it is open game for pathogens. From when they move it from the pasteurization or sterilization vat into the containers, and then from the containers, and it's sitting on the shelf. We just don't know. So it's really better to heat it up again, make sure everything's dead, bring it back down, and then culture. Okay, Lena says, your book has been such a blessing to me. I'm so glad, Lena. Excellent. I hope it's a blessing to many people. I'm trying to make it as clear as possible, as easy as possible for people to implement this nutritional protocol. Okay, Maria. Hello, Maria. Is it better to keep the raw milk in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 weeks than freeze it? I buy a lot since I have to drive a while to buy it. Okay, so good question. So if you leave it in the refrigerator for 2 to 3 weeks, these are the microbes. This is not Pac-Man. The microbes will eat the sugar and it will slowly be souring, which if you don't mind the flavor, it's no problem. If you freeze it, you're just going to lose a small amount of those microbes. So either way, if you want it to be more fresh, freeze it. Meaning if you want to stop the, what can we call it? If you want to stop the microbes from breaking down, eating all the lactose, then, and you want the flavor to be more of what it is when you pick it up, freeze it. If you don't care, refrigerate it. Hope that helps. Okay, Sylvia says, in our CGP Facebook group, nobody is discussing the new platform we've apparently moved to. I could not join the last webinar on 2/24/22. Do you have any news? Sylvia, my understanding is that not everyone has moved to the new platform yet. This is for the certified GAPS practitioners, folks. Sylvia is one. So I would just stay tuned or send an email straight to Marcy. And if you need that, send me a PM and on Messenger, and I'll give you her email address. And then I can look to see, I don't even know what that webinar was on 1/2/24/22. I obviously wasn't there. Yeah, okay. That's what I know. My understanding is that it's not up yet for everybody, and they're making transitions. Okay. Sylvia asks, is cumin allowed on intro GAPS? Yes, spices are allowed on stage 4 and beyond. Just go ahead and make sure that all of your spices are, right, organic, no fillers, non-irradiated, and that you start with just a little bit. It's fine. Yep. Spices, stage 4 and beyond. Make a note. You'll be good to go. All right. Do I have any idea why the Breaking the Vicious Cycle website with all the great food lists have disappeared? What would you use as a resource for SCD GAPS products list, legal, illegal products apart from a GAPS book? So to tell you the truth, Sylvia, I don't know why it's gone down and the food lists are gone. They may be updating them. I use the GAPS list for what foods are GAPS legal. However, for everyone on this call, remember that the foods that are GAPS approved may not apply in intro. That's really like all of GAPS diet, these are what's approved. But if you're on the intro diet, many of those foods are not approved. So you really have to know, this is not for Sylvia, but for everybody else, you really have to know, where are you on the diet? Where are you? Oh, look at this. Woo, it's very well used, obviously. Where are you? What stage? Stage 1, stage 2, stage 3, 4, 5, 6. What is legal? So when I find that very confusing, or I know people find that very confusing. There are lists of what GAPS approved foods are, and those are really full GAPS approved foods. That means that you've graduated through all 6 stages and you're on full, or, right, you started on the full GAPS diet, but you would, of course, start with meat stock. Okay, that was a little aside, but I think it was important because of all the confusion. So a long time ago, I looked at the SCD, the specific carbohydrate diet. And for anyone on this call, this Facebook Live, that is the diet that Dr. Natasha started with. That's kind of the foundation of GAPS. But, I mean, that's what Dr. Natasha used when she was working to heal her son of autism. That's what she used as her basic understanding. And then she added in ferments, which are not on the SCD, right? Meat stock, which is not on the SCD. Certain ways to, sprouted and fermented and soaked nuts and seeds, which really are not specified on the SCD. So it would be hard. I would have to just take the SCD book and try to overlay it, right, Sylvia, onto the GAPS diet to see. Yeah. Yeah. The other thing that I try to teach, which I know you know, is that, and Dr. Natasha says this too these days, lately, in the last year or two, we have to get away from lists, and we have to be able to understand the principles of why things are kept out of the diet, right? So for the GAPS diet, certainly on intro, actually for the GAPS diet, all of the GAPS diet, right? There's certain fundamental principles that we can use when we're looking at a food, right? If it's starchy, it's out. If it's fibrous, it's out. Or it's peeled and, right? Peeled and seeded, etc. Yeah. If it's dairy product, it's cultured long, so there's no lactose. All of them. Whether it's yogurt, kefir, creme fraiche, GAP sour cream, etc. If it's meat stock, it's 1 to 3 hours for poultry and 4 to 6-ish for everything else. So there's these principles that we use when we look at foods, so that you don't have to use lists. I mean, at this point, GAPS is such an international, as you know, an international diet that there are going to be foods all over the world that none of us have heard of, or Dr. Natasha hasn't heard of. So if we just know why we're doing what we're doing, even if it doesn't make the book list, perhaps it's still okay if we know the reason why something is on or off the list. So if you have further questions about that, let me know. I'm happy to let people know what those fundamental kind of principles are. Okay. Dana says, I can only get goat kefir or yogurt that is raw, organic, and unpasteurized here in the UK, nothing else. That's fine. We love that. I have the yogurt coming fresh every week. Excellent. She cannot take cow dairy for now. No problem. So folks, do not worry about, goat is not a problem. We love goat milk. In fact, you'll see in Dr. Natasha's original book that she will say if there are any issues with dairy, start with goat first. No problem. Start with goat, do some sheep, not a problem. Cows have challenges, as we know, because they've been, anyway, we've only been using cow for so long. And of course, then in the US, we went from what are traditionally called dairy cows or traditional dairy cow breeds like Swiss Brown and Jerseys and Guernseys and Ayrshires or however you say that. We went to Holsteins, which we know are not typical dairy cows. They're not traditionally used for dairy. And then they just, poor things. They've bred them so that they produce, or high producers, high production, low quality, sadly. Poor Holsteins. Those are black and white cows for the most part. So don't worry about using goat. We love that you're using goat for your daughter. You never have to try cow. Ever, for the rest of her life, if you don't want to. No problema. Okay. Alejandra wants me to do a Facebook Live on baths. Sure. Of course we can. Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Julie asks, do you have a good source for seaweed for a bath or product? So, there are some seaweed bath products. I would just get on and I'm not going to say Google. I would search online for seaweed for bath and just check it out. Sometimes they put seaweed with Epsom salts. Sometimes they make it themselves. You can also purchase seaweed powder, organic seaweed powder, and put it, I really suggest, you do not want a mess here, folks. Put it in like a tea bag, one of those muslin, right? But a fabric tea bag, if you would, and put that in the bath. So run the bath, make yourself a big tea bag, if you will. You could even put it in a nut milk bag if it's cloth, not one of the mesh ones, obviously. Put your seaweed in there and steep it. You You can do it that way because you don't want a great big mess. So 2 things. 1, you don't want seaweed powder. You'll have a big green ring and then you'll clog up your tub. And you don't also want to put in just seaweed strips because you'll be bathing in slime. Right, folks? I mean, seaweed is slimy. So I'm going to recommend that you get seaweed powder and you make a little tea bag. Maybe it's not so little. Maybe it's got a cup of seaweed in it. And steep that in your bath before you get in. Okay. You're welcome, Lena. Okay. Thank you, Mara. She's always putting Celsius in for me. I want to let you know that from now on, whenever I write cookbooks or technique books or recipes, that I'm putting in the temperature conversion scale or table so people can do it easily. Okay. Any recommendations, pardon me, for what kind of fish to use for stock? So I would just run right back into, I'm going to look at the blue book for fun. Why? Because it's bigger and it has more stuff in it. So we're going to go to the blue book. I think Dr. Natasha talks about it. So 2 things. 1, you can make fish stock out of little fish, like I'm going to say kippers, sardines, little fish. You can put the whole fish in. It's great. You don't have to do anything to the fish. You put the whole fish in. You can chop it up, bless it first, because you're chopping them up, poor little fish. And do that. If you're going to use a larger fish, you want to use a fish. I'm just looking it right up here. Hold on one second. See if I can find it. I have this all in my book, and the question is where? Un momento, por favore. Anyway, what Dr. Natasha says is if you're going to make fish stock from larger fish, you want to take the meat off. You want to take the fillets off, right? You take the meat off and you use that for something else, and you're cooking the heads, the tails, the carcass, right? That's what you're doing. Yeah. So look at this huge thing. Recommended foods. Oh my God. It's long, but it's not totally inclusive. That is for sure. All right. I'm going to have to find that. I don't want to take our time right now, but I would go ahead and look in the blue book for fish stock because I am sure that Dr. Natasha has put that in there. I'm just not finding it. And wouldn't it be grand if there was an index here? Or maybe, oh, sorry. Yeah. Anyway, that's what I could tell you. What kind of fish to use for stock? Something that's not too oily. You don't want to use things like salmon or bluefish. Oily fish will be very, very strong in flavor. And usually it will be far too strong for you to drink. So you want to go with something that's not an oily fish. I can tell you that. And you also want to take those fabulous fillets off and then just cook them in the stock once you make it. Wouldn't that be wonderful? I think that would be yummy. All right. That's what I've got for your fish question. Again, Lena, so you can make fish stock with just a bunch of, small fish. Sardines, kippers. Where are you? Let me know where you are, and maybe we could figure that out too. All right. Sylvia says, can one make meat stock, stop it that night, and restart the next day? Nothing bad could happen in the meantime. Thanks. So why would you want to do that? Because meat stock, as we know, is such a short period of time. You could stop it and start it again, no problem. Yes, histamine would be the thing. Once we let things stay out, they can develop histamine at room temperature. They'll develop it in the refrigerator too, but much more slowly. That's all. But yes, you could. You could do that. All right. What is the difference? You know what? I'm going to jump. What is the difference between baker's yeast, not GAPS legal, and raw yeast that we use for baking fermented bread? So, yeah. Remember, So just quickly, we're not making bread on GAPS, right? Everybody knows that, I hope. We're not using any grains on GAPS. We can transition into sourdough pancakes, which is what Dr. Natasha tells us to first transition into as you're moving off of the GAPS diet, and then sourdough bread. So the difference between baker's yeast, I would think, number one, it's a processed food. Can you believe it? Because it's in a package, and it's not just the yeast that's either in the kefir that we use to make those pancakes or in the air. That's what I would think. And of course, we all know that most of the fermented bread we make in GAPS, right, on the diet is with nuts and seeds. So we wouldn't use that kind of yeast. You could ferment it in kefir. You can ferment seed flour, nut flour in kefir or kefir. That's a wonderful thing to do. And do that long, maybe 2-3 days, and then bake nuts and seeds. Okay. So, okay, they don't have food lists in the book on their website. It was handy. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, Sylvia. I just don't know. Hello, Amina. Okay. All right, Charisse wants to know. Golly gee, really good. You're in Southern Jersey. Yay! I grew up in Monmouth County, Lena. So my dad used to work in Southern Jersey. So say hello to the shore for me, please. Flounder, great. Make stock out of flounder. I love it. Perfect. Okay. What about trout? Yeah, trout, great. Yes, Carol, good idea. Okay. Trying to see what's the easiest way to go in this last batch of questions. Charisse asks, what should I cover my animal organs with to make them last longer in the fridge? I would freeze them. That's what I would do. Animal organs, freeze them. Freezing keeps things for 6 months. Refrigerator, things start breaking down. That's the first thing. Second thing is, whatever animal organs you're working with, cover them with whey. Whey would be grand because then it'll start fermenting. But why don't you let me know what animal organs you're talking about? I can be more specific. That would be helpful. Okay, Amina says, is it okay to make egg pudding with kefir cream, eggs, honey, tallow? Yes, of course. What stage is that? So let's think, folks. If we're talking about intro, yeah, eggs are stage 2. So it's 2 and beyond. Tallow, honey is fine from stage 1. We all know that. You can use that in the blood sugar stabilizer. I hope everybody knows that. People affectionately call that fat bombs. Okay. Tallow, stage 1 on. Kefir cream. If you're tolerating kefir cream on stage 1. So stage 1 for the cream. So in total, probably stage 2, you'd be able to do that whole thing, Amina. Hope everybody follows that, right? So if you've got a recipe and you don't know what stage it's in, look at the component parts and then go back and go to this handy dandy chart that I gave you all. That's on the, right, free download. If you don't know about it, go up to the files and grab it, print it out, use it. Hopefully it'll be helpful to you. If you don't know what recipe a stage is on, you need to look at 2 things. The first most important thing is that ingredient allowed on the stage? So find the ingredient and then find the stage. That's really going to determine what stage it's on. And then look at the cooking technique. We know stage 1 is all about meat stock, period. Stage 2, meat stock and meat stock. Okay. Stage 3, we're now working with sautéing, right? Because we're sautéing onions for our eggs in stage 3. So that's the best way to do it. Just look at your recipe and say, are these ingredients allowed on the stage that I'm on or not? And then is the cooking technique allowed on the stage that I'm on or not? That's the best way to go. Okay, so Carol says, my husband loves to fish, but in Idaho in the U.S., we are limited to rivers and lakes. Trout is great, Carol. Fabulous, and you're very blessed to have it. I'd love to have some of that trout. I'm only right next door in Colorado. I'm joking. I mean, I am next door, kind of. All right, how long does turkey soup stay good in the fridge? So, a couple things, folks. When there is meat or poultry in the soup itself, the length of time it will stay good in the fridge will be determined by several things. One, is there a layer of fat on that soup that's keeping the oxygen out? It doesn't have to be that big. It could be this big. But a layer of fat that's on the turkey soup and on anything else could keep something good for a week, 2 weeks. Let me start in another place. For the most part, we don't want to eat things, I'm not talking about milk that I talked about before, but soups, stews, casseroles. The longer they're in the refrigerator, the less life force they have, and the more they're just going to start breaking down. That makes sense, yeah? So when we do things like when there's a layer of fat that's keeping the oxygen out, that will slow down that breakdown, if you will. And it'll also keep it from any pathogens getting in, etc. So if there's a layer of fat, things will stay much longer than if there isn't a layer of fat. The best way to tell whether or not a soup or a stew that has meat in it has gone off is to, first of all, use your eyes. Are there little white dots all over everything? Throw it out. This is just soup, stew, etc. Bring it to a boil. Go to skim and discard the scum. If there's lots and lots of scum and it just keeps coming and coming and coming, and you can't skim it fast enough, throw it out. It's just gone too long. Okay. Okay. Chicken liver and heart and beef liver. So heart, Charisse, were you at the OnCon? The GAPS OnCon? I did a whole thing about heart. So a great way to keep heart is to marinate it in lots and lots of olive oil. And in terms of chicken liver and beef liver, in terms of keeping it for a long time, I would freeze. I would freeze it because freezing stops the breakdown, right? Freezing is a food preservation method. Or you could also just make a bucket of pate, beef pate, chicken pate, cover it with a layer of butter or ghee or both, and leave it in the refrigerator for a long time. If you don't break that seal, pate can last for, I don't know, a couple of months in the refrigerator. Believe it or not. All right. Okay, raw yeast is allowed from intro gaps from stage 2. I don't know what that means, Sylvia. What is raw yeast? And who put that out anywhere? Just need to know. I don't know what raw yeast is. I mean, there's yeast in kefir. There's yeast in, right? Kefir cream, milk kefir. There's yeast. That would be allowed from stage 1, but I don't know what raw yeast is. Okay, yes, star. Stop the presses. Stop, halt. If you have gastritis, you do not take hydrochloric acid. Bad idea. No HCl, please. Good question. Bad idea. You'll just burn your stomach more. So a good test for people to do to find out what their stomach health is like is to do 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar in 4 ounces of room temperature water on an empty stomach. If that burns, stay away from hydrochloric acid. Okay, so 2 tablespoons of ACV in 4 ounces of room temperature water. Drink it on an empty stomach, wait and see if there's burning. If there is, absolutely no hydrochloric acid, whether you have a quote-unquote diagnosis for gastritis or not. Okay. Constipated but getting a fatty yellow stool once a week, has gastritis. Constipated. Constipated, fatty yellow stool. Okay, so that means, I'll say it this way. Dr. Natasha, in every seminar we have worked with, or we have taught together, or I've taught with her, or whatever, if I've assisted, she has said constipation equals a congested liver. Work the liver. Work the liver, star. Work the liver. What does that mean? GAPS milkshakes, if you can do them, right? With the whole eggs in them and the cultured cream in them. If you can't do cultured cream, do ghee or tallow or coconut oil or something. Yeah. If your constipation, everyone, means you have a congested liver, work the liver. Right now, I'm doing Love Your Liver class. You can still get in if you want to get into Love Your Liver class. We have 3 more weeks of liver supports, liver detox, how to cook liver. That's all coming up. We had the intro class yesterday, and I am happy to send you the recording if you want to catch up. So, yeah, liver, liver, liver. We are in liver time right now, going into it, which is the spring equinox. Okay. Last question, 2 questions. Maria, can I eat the kefir grains? Of course you can eat them, but remember, die off. Just be mindful. Don't go and eat a whole bucket or a whole handful or even a tablespoonful at once. Start with just a little bit, work your way up. Good idea. Okay, my husband is working with the UN, blessings, and not in a country where he could access the best, most organic food options. Would he go ahead and start GAPS intro? Yes, absolutely. Hello, Marissa. Good to have you. Yes, start GAPS intro. Do the best you can. I just saw a comment in another group. It made me very upset. When someone said, oh no, Dr. Natasha says that if you can't get organic, don't do the diet. That is absolutely incorrect. There will be a lot of healing just by cutting out all the processed foods. There will be a lot of healing just by being mindful and getting the best quality food you can get, folks. Just letting everyone know. Again, the word according to Monica is bless it and go. Do the best you can, and then carry on. Do not be split about anything that you're doing, whether it's in diet, in food, GAPS, not, etc. Do not be split. Line up your energy and say, I'm going to do GAPS. I'm going to do the best I can. I'm going to cook it the best way I know how, and I'm going to heal. So, bless it and go. Yes. Do the best you can, folks, okay? So we've gone a little bit over. I've been so happy to be with you today, and I really hope this has been helpful. Please continue to put questions on the page. I do try to check it morning and night twice a day. Please do remind people to tag me by doing the @ symbol and Monica Corrado so I can see them. If you don't tag me, again, sometimes it's 2-3 days before I can find them, even if I'm scrolling through the page trying to find new questions. I'm not sure why. So wacko. Anyway, yes, bless it and go, Julia. That's all we're going to do. We're going to bless it and go. We're going to do the best we can, and then we're going to trust that all is well. You're very welcome, Carol. Good to have you. Very great, Lena. I'm so glad. Yep. You're welcome. You're welcome, Alejandro. Okay, everyone. Dana, see you Monday. All right. Be well, everyone. If you want to get in that Love Your Liver class, let me know. Jump on the page. Send me a note. I'll send you a link. Okay. Take care, everyone. Be well. Blessings to you and your family and everything you're doing. Let's get in that kitchen and get cooking. Okay. Be well, everybody. See you next week.